Correct, right? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 18th episode of Toaster Talk on the Toast Network. I am your host, Vivek Shah, and we have familiar faces, which we may not have seen in a while. One of them is Eid Ka Chand, at least glowing like that. And the only coincidence that I can highlight is it's been a while since Hamilton got on the podium. And it's been a while since we have Mercedes fans on this show. Coincidence? Maybe. But welcome everyone who's watching the show. We had an exciting Canadian Grand Prix, rain, dry, rain, mix all of that up, and you have different strategies playing out. A very, very different run-up or lineup, I should say, to the race. And obviously the results are also very different from what we have expected. I'm going to go around, introduce our panelists, and hear from them what were their highlights of the Canadian Grand Prix weekend. First up, let's start off with Eid Ka Chand, Kazim.
Hey everyone. So again, for those of you who have already forgotten, I'm a Merc fan, a recent F1 fan as well. So what I thought of the race was, it was pretty interesting to actually see that. As a Merc fan here, yeah, it was really good to see Hamilton back on the podium. But also I saw like a lot of good things happening. Like, the quality was insane. Like, the rain coming in, actually mixing up, just bringing out what drivers actually think in the middle of the race and middle of the quality. That was really good. But we had a really surprise shock with Alonso on P2. So everybody was expecting a lot, and but the race didn't actually, it wasn't Alonso's day to actually him delivering. So, but I think it was a pretty good race. It was really bad that Haas actually struggled, and they were they were in a position to actually maximize and capitalize on the points. But then again, that all went to waste. So hopefully they will get their time soon.
Makes sense. Cool. Thanks a lot, Kazim, for that. Twinkle, I know you also have a lot of thoughts around the race weekend with, I think everyone was excited about seeing Alonso on the first row. And he also was like, I'm going to take this guy out in the first turn itself. Things didn't turn out like like he wished, but what were your highlights?
I think to be honest, the best driver on qualifying was Max. I think he drove excellently, and I was sort of hoping that it would also rain on the race day, because I think every time it has rained, Max has actually driven exceptionally well, and that's all. I find it really entertaining watching rainy races. So it would have been a lot of fun, but qualifying was obviously a lot of fun. Like you said, Alonso qualifying P2. Ocon was also in the top 10. So Alpines put themselves up really, really well in a very good position. Aston Martin's been doing a terrible job, but nonetheless, Lance Stroll still sort of managed to get 1 point, I believe. Yeah, I think besides that, Sainz, I think, fought Alonso really well. I don't think he did that good a job with Max, really. I also don't think he had the same pace in the straights to have fought with Max in the race, but I think he did an exceptional job as well. And yeah, it's happy to see that Mercedes, or Lewis rather, has finally got some of the pace back. I don't think it's still there. I don't think it's what Mercedes wants. I'm not like super excited about any of this. But yeah, it's so strange that it's so strange that it's only Hamilton's second podium in this entire season. So yeah, we'll take whatever we get.
With that, switching over to Vignesh. Welcome aboard, Vignesh. And what are your thoughts from this weekend?
Yeah, so as said by everyone, rain played a spoiled sport. Haas were the only 2 cars in the top 10, having top 5, I think. So they were the only 2 cars in top 6. That's what they boasted about. Again, Mercedes gave an edge to Lewis Hamilton by putting Russell on slicks, and Alonso delivered. Finally, for the race, you had watched up pit stops. I could see many drivers failing to get the safety car. That's why I believe Alonso also missed a safety car, because of which it ruined his play. But yeah, it's always safety car, safety car, safety car. You get a great race with strategies.
Yeah, I mean, safety cars provide the unknown. They come in because of the unknown, which means strategies need to be changed runtime. And the Canadian Grand Prix showed us that, right? I think Vettel was actually getting in to get a refuel, and the safety car came into play. So that was like perfectly aligned. He haven't even realized that it happened. Versus Sainz luckily got into that right at that turn point, saved in a few seconds, which made the race actually a lot more closer than we thought it would be at the start of the race. He did give Max a run for his money for the last few laps, excluding the last lap where it finally was up almost a second difference. So it didn't make too much of a difference there finally when the final results came in, but I think he did show that he can push hard if he needs to and could give a fight, even though Red Bull clearly has this faster car on the straights. But at least the attitude is there, which is good for racing from a racing perspective. Bad luck for Haas. Brilliant Saturday for them. And then Sunday, they couldn't cash in on that. I don't know what that means for Mick. What are your thoughts? It's 9 races in the year. You have the debutant Zhu having scored points twice now. And Kevin Magnussen has scored points in the Haas car, which means you can't even complain about the car per se. So what do you guys think about Mick specifically?
Well, I think yesterday was a reliability issue is what Haas claimed. So I think leaving yesterday aside, but I really think he needs to pick up his game. But also on the other hand, it's also, there are too many eyes on Mick, right? Just not as many eyes on Zoe or any of the other rather rookie racers, I'd say. But Mick, I think he just has too much attention. Maybe he just needs to relax and just focus on his drive because he is an excellent driver.
I mean, he has a very huge burden on his shoulders. Right? He has a huge name to live up to. He has got the name and the number beside him, and apparently that's definitely gonna end up screwing with this point. Right? Last year he didn't have a competitive enough car, and his teammate actually overshadowed him in a lot of mistakes. So right now the eyes are on him, and I shouldn't say like we should give him a little bit more time to adapt because like right now that's the actual time when he's actually in a very competitive car, and if Sonoda can get more chances, I would say still like there are still rumors flying around that Antonio Giovinazzi might make a comeback in the Haas because Mick is making too many mistakes. But I still say like it's a little too early on. He still has a lot more races to prove that he deserves that seat. So maybe once he gets his head right in the game, he should be all right. Also, having Kevin Magnussen as your team, it doesn't help. So that also
makes sense.
They say with great power comes great responsibility. In Mick's case, it's with great name comes great responsibility. Unfortunately, he has not tended to perform the way his father was, but he has gone towards the way his uncle used to perform. So in that way, also like as said, Mick has so many crashes this year that if he crashes 3 more times and if he gets at least 2 penalties each, he'll be going to 1 race ban, which would be at least better for some people. They can get an entry into F1, but not for others. In that way, yesterday was a reliability issue, which probably Ferrari have to take their heads off because it's a Ferrari engine underlying the Haas. So, yeah.
Makes sense. One thing I did want to ask was Red Bull. Obviously, Twinkle mentioned about Max having maximizing the race, but your thoughts on Perez? That was one of the reasons why we had the yellow flag come into play. That also was a reliability issue.
Yeah. But I think what I don't really understand is why it seems to affect Perez a lot more than it affects Max. Like, in all the 9 races. I think it's happened more times to Perez than it has to Max. Not sure what's up with Perez's
Conspiracy
car.
theory alert.
No, I don't think that's what it is. But it could also be probably, I think he crashed out in qualifying as well, right? So maybe that led to some other issues as well. So I won't really say, wouldn't necessarily, because none of the other Red Bull engines have been, really acting up anymore. In the beginning, yes, but currently I don't think they're really acting up anymore. So maybe it was the crash. Maybe that's why. Just on the 7th lap, right? He crashed out on the he had reliability issues in the 7th lap itself. So very beginning of the race, reliability issues, probably something from the qualifier itself, something that they fixed.
No, that makes sense. Now that we are 9 races down and the entire table's changed, right? Like from Ferrari dreaming about the glory days coming back and having those numbers. At this point, Red Bull's ahead on the constructors. Max Verstappen is back on the top. Perez isn't too far behind. Let's do a role play where each of you is the team principal of one of these top 3 constructors. Top 3 based on my decision, not any other factor. And just want to hear your thoughts on what would be running in your head at this point as you look at the rest of the season based on what has happened so far. So we've got Binotto, Ferrari. So Kazim, why don't you go for?
I'd mostly look at, there are 2 things at play that are happening with the Ferrari reliability issues that have started popping up. Is it really due to, them actually trying to maximize the potential out of their engine, or is there something else at play? And the second thing, the main thing that I'd be looking at would be the strategies. They haven't really been working out well. So they have, we have a lot of memes playing out, right? Being Ferrari, or LeClerc being Ferrari. So there's a lot of things going on, and it's about high time that Ferrari actually upped their game and corrected their whatever they are doing. So these are the 2 main points that we are going to be that we would have to look at if I were to, considering like I wouldn't even consider Sainz actually, not performing to his best. I mean, he's getting out there, but if given a chance, he will definitely come out. So that's he's just trying to play a little safe, that his confidence has hampered down. That's gonna be a very low priority for me right now. But these 2 are the 2 things that should be most looked into. They had a chance and they have blown it off. So that's something, if they really look at, that should be the one.
Could that also be the pressure of actually being there? It's been a while since Ferrari's been considered a top dog, and suddenly you're there and it's all for you to lose. And that pressure sort of gets you to make mistakes at the strategy level, at the driver level, hopefully not at the car level, but we are seeing reliability issues there too.
Yeah, I mean, the reliability issues, I think, since they have a really good engine and they have been working since last year, they should be able to pick it up. But strategies, I think they have been failing. I mean, since last year and even before that, they have been a lot of struggles with that. So that is where we need to be definitely looking. It's not about the pressure per se, I don't think so, because even if Ferrari loses, Ferrari is still synonymous with that one. They, even if they tend to lose, they still have like a lot going on for them. So I don't think that is actually a big thing.
And that resonates with what Sainz was also saying, right? At the post-race interview, he's like, wherever we go, suddenly a lot more tifosi just turn up. And that's the brand that Ferrari has been able to build over the years.
Of course, Formula One is Ferrari. It's synonymous.
They have a very loyal fan base. I mean, obviously they could have lost. It's been like what, so many years since Ferrari has won, right? So obviously, but even after all this while, we still have a lot of loyal fans. So that says a lot about Ferrari. They don't lose hope in them. But that's what Ferrari needs to believe in.
It makes sense. Any other opinions on what Binotto said, Twinkle or Vignesh?
Up your engine.
I think even besides the engine as well, I think even Carlos, I think he's lost a lot of confidence with the way how the season began. That's one thing that Red Bull definitely did right. They didn't really focus on short-term goals. They focused on the long-term picture, the big picture. I think Ferrari really needs to put their head back in the game. They need to strategize better. Obviously, there's no doubt in that. And yeah.
So, Twinkle, I'm hoping you don't have any headphones around.
For the time being, thankfully, no.
But if you were Toto Wolff,
I think at this point of the year, the Drivers' Championship, I think the focus should be George Russell because I don't think Lewis is there anywhere. I think George Russell should be the focus currently because he's at least fourth on the standing. He's, I think, 60 points, 70 points behind Max. So I don't think he's very close, but it's still very early. It's still only 9 races in. There are still, I think, 13 races to go. So it's not that doomed yet. I think there's still hope. I think the main challenge with Mercedes at this point is they still can't figure out what's going on, which is very, very weird for a team that has been dominating for the last 8 years. I have no idea how they've still not been able to figure that out. It's been 6 months. They said it'll be the second half of the year. It is the second half of the year. They still haven't figured anything out. I think currently they should just focus on 2023 because it doesn't look like any of the 3 championships are coming their way unless they're able to figure out what's going on with their car. I think we saw pace yesterday, but I don't know. We also saw pace in, I think, Barcelona, I believe. Barcelona was also pretty quick. Mercedes was pretty quick, but then it was again all downhill from there again. So yeah, it's not like it's going to be very stable at this point of time. So they'll have to figure out what's up with the car. They'll have to figure out what they can change. I know FIA is bringing in new regulations. I think Toto's done a good job there, trying to get FIA to look at the regulations again. Yeah, so I think that's the only thing that Toto can really do at this point of time. Convince FIA to change regs.
I mean, but just in terms of obviously the porpoising issues that we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Everyone else seems to have figured that out to some extent.
Yeah.
Whereas Mercedes hasn't.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing to note is you mentioned George Russell and the fact that he's not too far out from Max is the fact that he is called Mr. Dependable. He is the only driver to have like a top 6 finish consistently through the season.
Top 5.
And I
top
think
5, yeah.
Top 5, yeah. And I think the reason behind that, I think even in the beginning of the race, like beginning of the season as well, George is acquainted to a horrible car. George was acquainted to bringing a horrible car into the midfield. He was able to at least get to the points even in qualifiers. So he knows how to push how to push the limit there. I don't think Hamilton's very acquainted to that anymore. I think that's the reason why he's also a little bit lagging behind. I know they're trying to experiment with this car. I know this coming from me, but yeah, I think that's the reason why Hamilton's still farther behind from George. But yeah, I don't think any of the championships coming our way, at least this year. I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but I'm just trying to see things for what they are. Unless they're figuring this out, none of this is going to change much, really.
But I think that makes good sense in terms of focusing on 2023. And I'm sure the confidence that Russell's getting behind the wheel with his performances will help push the envelope forward when the car is also in the zone. And he's obviously someone who they're invested in towards the future.
Yeah.
So win-win there. And obviously Hamilton is their stalwart superstar.
Yeah.
One season away from being the best of the best.
Yeah.
From the numbers perspective.
So, I don't know, for some reason I still feel like, Hamilton is trying to play the long game here because he has been quite patient with the car for a long while. I mean, this is a very long time, and we do see him complaining, but then again, that's not the usual complaining that we hear from him. he has been patient for quite a long time. So like somewhere or the other, it just sticks in my mind. Like, is there something else that's going on at Mercedes? Is there something that they're just trying to cramp all these bad things in just in 1 year so that they can bring out the best out of the best in or for the next year? Maybe it's just hope in me as a Merc fan or something, but there's something that thought that keeps on popping into my head.
I think
Twinkle's
that's
like-
because he got a lot of backlash. The first time he complained, everyone lost it. So I think he's probably also just trying to focus on his race and trying to keep, because anyway, he's not winning either, right? It's not worth also getting hate on the internet after all of this. Not like they're going to fix it anyway.
Yeah, I know Vignesh wants to say something, so
Yeah, so I'll just say that, okay, it's really unorthodox from Pinotto to hear praises about Hamilton and Mercedes. But we can,
he confirmed. He's like, as a Merc fan, I'm telling you this now.
yeah, but as I said, right, being the Ferrari, being the RB, we can really understand that, okay, when two teams of our rivals compete against and join a team up to beat us, we are in that strong position. So, yeah.
But yeah, I guess that brings up to the question everyone is obviously thinking. RB, as Christian Horner, what are you thinking at this moment? I mean, you're on the top of the constructors. Your number one driver is number one right now.
Yeah. So for us, the plan is pretty laid out. So we have seen that, okay, in the past 6 races, the entire shift of dynamics was changed from Ferrari to us. And the same can also happen if we are lethargic in our nature. So our plan would be to bring out the best possible packages every race. The second thing is to improve on our engine reliability. Considering that, okay, our second important driver has been retired in 2 out of the 9 races, which means we have lost around 50 points in the constructors and around 50 points in the drivers. Now that's a significant blow for us. And if we want to stay ahead, because last time also we saw that, okay, if we were able to bring our first driver first, it still doesn't guarantee us a constructors championship. So this time we want to be all into it. What we can do probably is that going forward in the race, I would be trying to swap cars from Verstappen and Perez so that Perez also gets the advantage. And of course, being the wonderful manager of Red Bull, I would like to thank Perez for his wonderful contribution. And I would say that, okay, your promotion is due next year. Please try again. You will for sure get a world championship with us, but not this year. Because as you can see, Max has already outperformed you and we want it to be reached. For us, now you are the buffer to LeClerc. He's just 3 points behind you. If Ferrari improve the reliability, you are number one. So we want you to act as a buffer and please do deliver. And we will come up with the championship soon.
I think for a second we lost Vignesh and Christian Horner took his place.
No, that was Helmut. There is no way that was Horner. That was definitely Dr. Marco.
Definitely, yeah. I just heard like Mercedes Bottas flashbacks. I mean, like Bottas 2.2. That is what I could hear when he was going on and on. But like, yeah. Hopefully Perez get his due recognition, just like we were hoping for Bottas, who never got his. At least Red Bull tries to do.
Well, I'd say Bottas got it in 2022. He's got his sweet revenge.
Yeah.
I was just hoping like.
But I mean, I think what Vignesh is highlighting is true from a Red Bull perspective, right? As fans, we always want the nice guy, the wingman, to get their due. But from a team strategy standpoint, it's pretty clear from Red Bull's perspective that Max is the number one and Perez is in there to help them buffer any of the challenges that are coming through and help them get enough points to win the constructors.
But come on, Red Bull went through so much trouble changing so many teammates for Max so that Max could win the world championship. So they definitely, Perez, I don't think Perez was delusional when he was signing up for Red Bull. I think he knew what the terms and conditions are. He knew what he was signing up for. So this is not going to change. Not this year, not next year. It's never going to change. It's always going to be Max.
Twinkle, you cannot open the contract details in front of public. We told him that we use him at WDC next year. That's why he agreed for the extension.
Correct. With that, one last round of questions for all of you. We have the British Grand Prix in about 2 weeks' time. What is each one of you looking forward to from that Grand Prix?
Corner.
Let's start with Vignesh this time.
Yeah, so I would say a crash at Lowe's. Yeah, but this time I don't want Max and Lewis. Probably for the sake of being a Red Bull team principal, I'll just go ahead with it. Let it be Perez and LeClerc. At least I get the first done. The second thing is at least I want a 3-wheel win, which Lewis performed when one of his tires broke. So that would be exciting. And of course, RAF Silverstone has always produced some exciting races. It's like for me a mecca of racing, considering it started there, the racing started there. So yeah, always looking forward to Silverstone.
Nice. For a moment, I was like, did I walk into the Netflix writer's room? But that's a lot of excitement that you have lined up there for the British Grand Prix. Twinkle, how about you?
I don't care what happens in the race. I want Alex Albon doing the after video.
I think
yeah, but I'm certain that it's going to be a very exciting race because Ferrari is definitely going to want to pull up their big boy pants for Silverstone at least. I think they are going to be a lot more competitive, and I just hope there's no more Silverstone drama at least this year. But I do hope that Ferrari is able to balance the scale, because otherwise it's going to be a very one-way championship.
Yep, no, that makes sense, and that's one thing none of us want.
Yeah,
Is another straight through championship.
yeah.
So far it's been exciting. We're hoping for the 3-way at the start of the year.
Yeah.
We got a 2-way for a bit. It still might be a 2-way. It's just that RB might just lead the way, and then the second and third place is where we are seeing a battle. But Kazim, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to a George Russell podium, or if I'm reaching far out, probably a George Russell win. A win in front of his home crowd. It must be a dream for him.
Oh yeah, both Mercedes boys home crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, Hamilton has had his fair share of it, so let Russell have all the fun now.
Just going by the stats, this year, whenever there was a home GP, the people who started were always below 10. Canada, Stroll, and this guy. Who was
Latifi.
Latifi. Both were 18 and 19.
How can
If you go to the first one, I believe who was the Italian? Gasly was below the 10 in the first, I think, Imola somewhere. So yeah.
And also, hopefully winning, or hopefully aiming, Leclerc gets his win and breaks Max dominance. Still no. I just saw the standings, and it's just like Verstappen. So it's just like 2021 all over again now. Sorry, 2020. It's just instead of Ham, it's Verstappen now.
Yeah.
And then it might just become 2021, where in the final, instead of Verstappen, it becomes Leclerc.
Yeah.
that will be interesting to see.
But yeah, no, I think
you'll have to pray to the FIA gods for that.
Yeah, there's no more Masi.
Yeah, but there's still all of Ferrari and FIA. Stefano Domi, yeah, everyone, literally everyone's there.
But yeah, no, I think this was a very fun conversation session. Interesting to see how each one of you thought about it from a strategy standpoint. If you were the team principals, I think you should be the team principals. Would make F1 racing a lot more fun for us to watch as viewers, and a lot more exciting on the racetrack. But once again, thanks a lot, Vignesh, Kazim, Twinkle, for taking your time out, sharing your thoughts on the Canadian Grand Prix from a post-race review perspective. For our fans watching the show, standard lines apply. Put in your comments, your thoughts on what you thought made sense from what we as panelists spoke about, areas that you think we should have spoken about, and things that you disagree with. Put it out there. Like, share, subscribe this particular channel, the Toast Network. We do various sports follow-up from the fans' perspective, whether it's cricket, tennis, F1, right? Because this is the network for the fans, by the fans. With that, looking forward to seeing all of you back to the next continent, which is Europe. Actually, I shouldn't say Europe because, Brexit happened. So we'll be heading over to UK or the United Kingdom and seeing you all there. Once again, thanks a lot for viewing and take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.